All right, so welcome again, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Shelby. I am a career education counselor. We also have Gabby and Maricela, other career education counselors, joining us to support today. And all of our career education counselor team collaborated to make this event possible. So you are here for our virtual industry panel on business entrepreneurship. I do have a slight update that it looks like we have one panelist instead of two today. So I apologize in advance that we had to have one step away, but we will have a speaker here, so we can really all pay very much attention to this one speaker who I will be introducing and providing his bio. So let me get right on that. So today we have joining us Eric Nelson, who is one of the owners of FanFlex. He conceptualized the innovative platform from his 20 years in the live music and entertainment business. Eric and his business partner, Gian Perugini, observed the much needed demand for a tool to minimize the risk and increase the revenue for musicians and venues alike. Eric realized the need for a tool like FanFlex not only as a future A&R or touring routing asset like he had originally envisioned for the traditional live music industry, but also, and even more importantly, post-COVID, as an invaluable resource for non-traditional music venues looking to get revenue gain and the independent musicians looking to profitably get back in front of their fans. So it's a very timely platform and speaker here today. Eric has been a production manager at 6 Super Bowls, a talent logistics coordinator on 14 Grammy Awards, and continues to work numerous shows and tours around the country with top talent as he tries to bring key learnings from the highest level to all of the do-it-yourself independent musicians on the FanFlex platform. If we have our other speaker join us, I will be sure to introduce that person. But for now, we're going to have a solo event with Eric. So thank you, first of all, Eric, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it and excited to get going. I grew up in Burbank, and most of the people I grew up with, good number of them went over to GCC, so very familiar with campus. And so happy to be a part of it.
Fantastic. So we can keep our Q&A session planned with the questions that we had sent you in advance. And then, like I said, we'll stop the recording and we'll let the folks here today in the room ask their own questions as well. So to get us started, right at the beginning, the first question is, please share your career and education journey. What made you decide to pursue the career you currently have? And what road bumps have you overcome along the way? And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that we can all see together.
Awesome. So I think the journey really started when I went to college. I ended up going to UC Santa Barbara. While on campus, I joined the Associated Students Program Board. Turned out that they put the concerts on campus. And so that was really my first start into putting on real concerts. We booked real bands, like at the time it was, Incubus. We booked all different genres. I booked Bone Thugs and Harmony. I'm dating myself now on how old I am, but we had George Clinton, we had Bob Dylan when I was there, and a bunch of great musicians. But that kind of got me on the point where my political science major, I realized that I can make a living and a career doing music production and concerts, and that's what I ended up pursuing. I took an internship at Sony Music in New York City. I thought I was going to be a record label executive one day, only to find out that Napster then destroyed everything. So again, dating myself, there was this thing called Napster that basically took CDs out of play, and now everything went digital, and now everything goes streaming. So it's evolving and evolving fast. And at that moment, when I got out of school and things were transitioning, I realized that what I liked the most and what I enjoyed the most was live, and I realized that live was never going to go away until COVID, but that's a different story. So at the time, live wasn't going to go away, and that's what I ended up doing. I worked at a number of different production companies, event companies. I've worked for different artists and bands. I've been on a couple of small tours. I've jumped in on some big tours and worked festivals and everything else. Along that whole path, I realized that there was a need, not for Lady Gaga, because she has it all, but for like the non-Lady Gagas, the non-Taylor Swifts, the non-Jay-Z's, the non-Ed Sheerans, right? the ones that don't have this big machine behind them. Who are your everyday musicians that do it out of passion, but at the same time need to put some money in their pocket? You know, even though you love playing music, you can't just let it burn a hole in your wallet. So started conceptualizing FanFlex, and that's where FanFlex really comes from. Is how do we give do-it-yourself musicians, everyday musicians, a path forward and a path to actually make a living. And along the way, just like the minor leagues in baseball, just like you know, college football on your way to the NFL, there's like this stepping stone. You can't play the Staples Center unless you've played, you know, Dive Bar in Hollywood first. You've got to work your way up, and we believe in that. And you know, as an artist, you could hone your craft, you know, engage your fans, make your fans, and really decide, you know, what songs to play, how to play, find your personality. So we really believe in playing live, and that's what FanFlex is all about. Road bumps, yeah. So road bumps was first was Napster. That was fun, and then the financial crisis, and then COVID. And along the way, as I've gotten older, I've just evolved to looking at some of these major things not as roadblocks but opportunities. And I think FanFlex is the best example of that, because we realized that through this pandemic, venues and artists need us more than ever. And so we didn't look at it as, you know, something that was going to destroy our business, but how can we get involved and help? And so we've expanded all over the country. It's been our best year ever throughout all of this.
What a great example of the entrepreneurial mindset of that's not a road bump, that's an opportunity. That speaks very well to the theme of this panel. So thank you.
Yeah, it takes some time to get through that, through your head sometimes, but it definitely, I've got that mentality now, and I suggest everyone look at it that way as early as they can in their lives.
Fantastic. All right. Well, the next question we have for you is just digging in a little deeper to your current position and how you would describe your current work.
So I'm a startup owner. I live a startup life. So I'm working from home, but at the same time, as a startup owner, I still do production management. That's where I get most of my income. So that is the balance that I think an entrepreneur always has to do. The goal ultimately is that FanFlex pays every bill, but until it's 100% FanFlex, you know, while I was in the waiting room, I was sending emails regarding Super Bowl. So, you know, it's that's my typical work day. Some of the projects I'm working on right now are Super Bowl. On the production side, I'm working on Super Bowl. I'll be headed to Miami over the holidays for the Orange Bowl's Capital One Beach Bash, is a concert on the beach with Harry Styles. So I've got those two kind of projects coming up that are taking up a lot of my time. And then FanFlex, we just recently launched a new artist-facing platform. So I was on, you know, call for an hour and a half with our tech team, making sure everything's ready to go and making sure the links on our site direct to the right pages. And so we're really excited to really push that forward. So finding good work-life balance is super important. You know, my fiance and I were working out this morning at 5 a.m. So, you know, you have to find the balance.
Yeah, that's a fantastic. It shows how it sounds like every day is different, or there's always new things to be looking ahead to.
Yeah, I think that's why I chose this path, because I can't sit in an office and do the same thing over and over again. I learned that, no offense to my father's company, AT&T, but that was one of my first internships. And I was in a cubicle and I was like at this computer desk and I was like, oh, it was the best internship I ever had, because it taught me that I don't want to do that, or that I can't really function like that. And so I needed to do something outdoors, something that was really involved with people. I had to be around creatives. I had to use my hands. So I think if, you know, you're looking at starting a career, at the end of the day, you know, I know it's cliche, but if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. But it's kind of true. You know, if you find something that is rewarding, that you enjoy doing, that meets how you are as a person, you know, I'm a people person. So I don't do a job that sits me not talking to anybody.
Yeah.
So find what you're good at, what you like doing, and then that career will mold itself around your personality and your attributes.
Yeah, I can hear a lot of your mindset, and it was the best internship I ever had because it taught me what I didn't like. Again, like that opportunity seeking and positive sided mindset. So that's fantastic. And staying on that positive thing, the third question is, what are some of your favorite things about your work? And then on the opposite side, what are some of the challenges that you face?
Favorite things is I just love being around creative people. Like my brain does not work like an artist mind. And so the stuff they come up with is just mind blowing. And I know that they feel the same way about me because I'm like a logistical like mind. So they're like, how did you think about that? I'm like, well, that's just the way my brain works, and it's vice versa. And so we have this great dynamic when I'm working with someone super creative because they don't typically have the they're the right brain and I'm the left brain. And when someone's super right brain, they're lacking usually in the left brain. And I'm super left brain sometimes. And it's a really good dynamic. So I think that's some of the best things that I get out of work. In terms of fan flex, I really get a kick out of young musicians that are maybe playing for the first, second, third time, and they really find their voice. It's just a great thing to watch. There was a guy who played maybe a couple months ago, and I went to see the show, and he was so nervous. And he's all like, I'm so sorry, I'm so nervous. I'm like, dude, it's totally fine. Just get up there and play. And then I try to listen to every artist that we book, but we're doing shows almost every single day all across the country. So I hadn't really listened to his music. And then he performed and I was like, just mesmerized. His voice was amazing. And it was so funny because he was a different person. He was so nervous. And then when he turned on his persona of the artist, it was night and day. And it was amazing to watch. So I really love that. Challenges I face. I think on the FanFlex side, it's technology, right? I didn't major in technology. I don't know how to build apps. It's a learning experience. And I think for anyone that's running their own company or doing their own business, I can't tell you, like, it's a learning experience. You're going to figure it out. You could read all the books you want. You could watch as many YouTube tutorials on, strategies. At the end of the day, you're always like working through whatever comes up or how best to do it. And it's a very experiential thing, being an entrepreneur. I look at Elon Musk and how many times like a rocket blew up before he actually did it, right? So you just got to keep going. And I think the people that succeed are the ones that just don't quit. Another cliche for you all is, you don't know how close you actually got to that success if you quit. The only thing guaranteed of quit if you're quitting is that you didn't do it. So just keep pushing forward, and you never know where that road goes. But just don't ever quit. So yeah. Other challenges, I guess. It was so funny because I'm doing helping out on a small gig in a couple of weeks at the Pacific Design Center, and the client was like, "Oh my gosh, what about if it rains?" Because it was raining like downpour the other day. And I was like, it rained once in 2 years, but I get it. We could redo everything in the random chance that it does rain, which I know, from a production standpoint, most of it was fine, but, dealing with the freakouts is it's a fun challenge. I'll tell you that. So.
Yeah, I'm sensing a theme of unpredictability, adaptability, persistence, all those things you said. Yeah, definitely.
Those are the key words right there. That's not just work, that's life, I think that's just a life lesson for everybody.
Yeah. And then this question is a little more traditional oriented, so you can tell us how it's a little different as an entrepreneur. But what are the qualifications, such as education level, training, certifications, licenses, experience, that are required to go into this kind of work? And if I'll also ask this, since you do have teams and you talked about learning tech stuff and bringing in people, if you participate in hiring or ever hire folks to help you out on things, what impresses you the most when hiring someone?
Yeah, so at multi-level, so let me go through some of this stuff. I think what's required for work, when you look back at college and, whether that is GCC, and if you transfer or, into a particular discipline, the truth of the matter is what you're learning is how to problem solve, how to organize your time, how to budget, how to, be successful. So it doesn't matter the discipline necessarily. So that experience, if you could successfully go through that experience and learn those traits, I think that's going to be the most benefit to you. And I think that's what I look for the most when interviewing, whether that's an internship, which, by the way, we'll be opening internships in December if anyone's interested. Just go to fanflex.com. I think it's somewhere on the bottom of the page says careers, but you could also email me or whatever. Eric at Fanflex, if you're interested, it's in December. I think we'll be opening up for January. But one of those things, like as an intern, is you don't have any experience. That's the whole point. So I'm not looking for, did you produce a big concert? No, you didn't. You're 19 or 20, 21. Did you actually have do you have a good head on your shoulders? Can you think? Can you answer some questions professionally? Can you talk in front of people? Are you organized? Did you show up on time to the meeting, whether it was Zoom or not? I think especially on Zoom, there's no excuse. Like it used to be, you were sitting in traffic. Oh, sorry, I was traffic in LA. Sorry, I'm late. And everyone was like, okay, I get it. Traffic sucks. But now it's Zoom, like you have no excuse. You just press a button. So I think my little tip on that, and Shelby could attest, is unless I'm going back to back on Zoom meetings, I usually start it because the host has to let you in anyways. So I just put it off on the side. And then when I hear the little chime, then I know it's live. And because I could be typing away and I could forget, exactly what time it is. So I usually just have it kind of on and running. So let me see here. I also think when you're an entrepreneur, you have to know what you know and know what you don't know. And I think that's super important in life also. And there's no problem with that. And I got a lot of respect, especially like at Super Bowl level. There's a lighting guy that is a professional lighting person. I know a little bit about lights. So when it gets to a lighting question, I go, hold on one second. Let me go get the person that knows what they're talking about, or electricity. I know enough about electricity to make sure the show's getting loaded in and happening. But okay, you know what? This could blow up something. Let me go get the professional to like make sure this is all perfect. So that is totally fine. And I respect that when people say, hold on, but let me find you the answer. Or I don't know that, but I could get that answer for you. There's two ways to answer that question. It's, I don't know, and then just leave it open-ended, which is the wrong way. Or I don't know, but I'll find out. And I think those kind of people, I don't know, but I'll look into it. I don't know, I'll get the right person. That is respectful. I think no one's going to be able to learn everything. So as an entrepreneur, you just got to find the right teammates that complement your skill sets, that fill in the gaps. The best example is my social media interns. I tell them every day, you're cooler than me. You understand social media better than me. So this is what my goal is. However you guys know how to do it, do your thing. And they're great. And I don't know how they do what they do, but it's awesome.
Fantastic. I think there's definitely some nuggets in there that I hope the students are taking notes on or keeping in mind for the future. And on the point of answering interview questions, being able to talk professionally, just remember there's free resources at GCC. You can do mock interviews, you can go to our interview workshops, all that fun stuff. But back to our panel. The next question is there anything you wish you knew about your field or career when you were a college student?
The only thing I would say is don't turn away any knowledge. Okay, like I think when I look back at my college career, I thought I was going to work for a record label and I was really focused on what that side of the business was all about. And if you fast forward 20 years, you need to know everything now, and so in music in particular, you have to know about digital streaming rights. You need to know about sync licensing, how to get your songs in movies, how do you get live, how do you live stream, social media, how do you do all sorts of, so there's so many things to it. So if you find a field that you like, oh, I want to work in movies. Well, do anything in a movie, whether that is the gaffer, the, art, set design, whatever it is. Just do any of the jobs because it's going to give you a perspective when you settle into what you do best. It'll give you a perspective of everyone else that does the job. Gives you a perspective of what it takes to put the whole thing together. And that goes for, any business. It's a sandwich shop. Well, don't just worry about making sandwiches, work the cash register, whatever, but ultimately, I think I was a little bit more closed-minded or just hyper-focused. And I was like, oh, I don't even know that. It's not what I'm going to do. And I think that's the wrong mindset. So that's what I would kind of wish I would have done better.
Yeah, that reminds me of what you said earlier about you're never going to know everything. So holding both of those things of like not turning knowledge away, but also recognizing that there's going to be limits and you're always going to need to ask for help and collaborate. So both of those, even though they seem conflicting, they're saying the same thing.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think it's conflicting because, and then you may not know that is where your expertise lends to, right? So, and it's also transitional. Depends what position you're in. When I do production jobs, sometimes I'm in charge, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm doing that role. So it's transitional of where they need me on a team. And it's like that in many different industries.
Yeah, I think that's a great example too. Thank you. And so our next question, which might be just impossible to predict, of course, but what future do you predict for the job market in this career? What trends do you see developing over the next few years? And you can answer this, of course, for your industry. And if you have entrepreneurial ideas in general about, how to be, what it's like when life is unpredictable, we'd love to hear that as well.
Yeah, I think if you're solving a problem, that it's a real problem and you have a real solution, then I think you're going to exist, as a industry. And the ones that can find solutions in an ever-changing world and ever-changing needs are the ones that and adapt. You said adaptability. I think are going to be the ones that excel, especially like, after COVID. What companies are, really blossoming out of COVID? It's they're looking at these new problems in the world. How do we fix it? Just think about digital vaccine passports. Like someone was like, all right, let's do this. Someone was even all the COVID testing. For every production I had to do during COVID, and I still have to do. You'll get tested, and that whole industry was small. And I think that's going to may not maintain at the levels it was, but it's a new industry, on a production at least. But I think trends in general, people want to experience stuff. And so because I'm a little on the older side, I guess, as much as things go virtual and things go into your phone and things go into like digital, I think there's an equal and opposite reaction for people wanting to do stuff in person. So I know COVID took that away for a while, but if you look at Coachella and successful big experiences, the haunted hay rides, these things, some are made for Instagrammable moments. They're made for digital sharing, but they're experiences. So I think you're either going one direction or the other, but both are relevant and both aren't going away. So you could either be successful in a virtual thing, or you realize that these live experiences, we're human by nature, so that's going to be there. So I think concerts are coming back in a big way. People want to get out there. So that's what I see.
All right, fantastic. I'm so excited. We're almost to the point where we get to hear students' questions, which is always the most fun and most important part. But our last general question for this recording, for anyone who watches this later, is what advice would you give to students looking to enter this career?
So the career of entertainment in general, I think there's, and I tell this to my interns, say yes, go and say yes, do it. But at the same time, knowing this industry and knowing that the negatives around this industry, have your boundaries. Know where your line in the sand is of what you're willing to do. And, maybe you're not willing to do 18-hour days. I totally get it. They suck, but and then there's stuff that's, off topic stuff that's not cool in the industry. But where's your line in the sand? If it doesn't hit your line in the sand, say yes. Hey, there's a last minute opportunity to get on this production. You want to do it? Yes. Hey, I know you haven't done this before, this job description before. How about you want to do it? Yes. Like, say yes. Or I need an extra hand. That person, say yes. Be that person. Because that's ultimately, especially when you're entering into, an industry that everyone's trying to get into, it's who's motivated, who's going to be there. And at the end of the day, we're not rocket science. Like, we're not doing heart surgery. No one's going in outer space. It's not really difficult stuff. We just need people that have the attitude of, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it till it's done. And when it's done, I'm going to find out what I got to do next. And that mentality of just this go-getter, like, knock it out mentality, I think is really great, especially if you're hungry and young in the beginning. Just go do it. Get your foot in the door and then kick down the door. So that's how you got to do it.
Perfect. That's fantastic. And then also for anyone, even outside of the entertainment industry, thinking of doing their own startup and starting their own business, any advice for them that's in addition to, because I'm sure what you just said is applicable, but also.
Yeah. So for like that stuff, I always look back to my business partner, John. I shared this idea with him like 6 years ago now. And we really didn't get off the ground until like 3 years ago, but I shared the idea with him and he's like, oh, it's a really good idea. And the next day he was all like, still thinking how good of an idea it was. And he's all like, well, let's do it. And I had never thought about doing it. I was like, oh, well, heck, let's do it. And so I think for the entrepreneur spirit, it's really just go for it. What do you have to lose? You have one, not to quote Eminem, but you got one shot, one chance, right? You got one opportunity, like go for it. And, there's so many cliches in the entrepreneurial world, like, fail fast, fail often and fail fast. If you know something's not working, don't let it get down on you. Move on. What's next? Try something else. And again, it's just that go-getter mentality. You're going to have failures. Elon Musk crashed how many rockets, right? And no one talks about him crashing rockets. They talk about him sending the rocket to space, right? So no one talks about how many Teslas didn't work. They talk about how many Teslas are now being part of the Hertz rental shop that their stock just went off the roof. So, you have to just go for it and, put your blinders on in the sense of like all the static, all the naysayers, all the people are like, I don't know, you should try it. Are you sure you want to do that? Leave that crap out and just go for it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And the last reminder I'll leave before we transition here is just remember that you're a student right now and you have free resources available to you. So there's no shame in asking for help. There's actually a lot of people on campus who want to help you. So definitely reach out, resources to prepare for your career, to prepare for starting a business, things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Find one more. I got one more. Find a mentor. Find someone that you are, doesn't even have to be in the industry that you're going for, but that helps. Find someone that's done it, and they may not have they're never going to have a roadmap for you, but it's a bouncing board. They can bounce some ideas off of that, isn't someone necessarily super close to you. It's on a professional level that you can share. And I know that, you guys have mentor resources and the GCC and your counselors. Find something like that. You're not looking for discouragement. Sometimes you just need to say what you're thinking out loud. And just by doing that, you find your own way. Mentorships help.
Yeah, that's a great last word. So let me go ahead and stop the recording. Thank you all for watching this later.